Well, I'm a piano player, songwriter, composer. I have some wonderful singers, Amy Penwell on the lead vocals, and Jordan Karp singing and playing guitar, and David Aaron, my good friend David, playing the bass, and Jason Schloda playing drums. They're really good musicians, and they bring ideas, and then it starts to feel like a project, and we're feeling like we're ready to go into the studio. I think the music has probably a fairly wide emotional range. I think I connected with Amy immediately because she commits emotionally, and she really pours her heart into the material. She puts it more there than I realized it could go there. Jordan's different. He's got a kind of maybe more of an edge to his voice, and he's a fantastic guitar player. And so they play off each other really nicely. I would love to get this project out as a working group, touring and playing in front of, lots of people. I really love playing. I love leading a band. I think in the past I've done it a lot as a sort of a jazz musician. I like that a lot. This music in a certain way is very, because it's so stripped down, it's actually, it's a great pleasure to play it. There's a lot of emotional range, and there's a lot of freedom in the music. This project is, it's called Poets Cabaret. Well, it's something I've always wanted to do, which is an entire recording of short songs. So it's sort of my fascination or love affair with the 3-minute, song form. And I'm really excited about it. We've got about 12 to 14 songs. There's some poetry that I borrowed, some William Butler Yeats and some Whitman here and there, but mostly actually I wound up writing the lyrics myself. But I think there were two operative ideas for the recording. One is the idea of poetry, the idea of packing a lot of meaning into words. And then the cabaret part was really interesting to me. Not about cabaret in the sort of, I think, the way people typically think of cabaret, like Kander and Ebb, or, the kind of more modern Broadway show idea. Thinking more about cabaret as like the whole tradition of cabaret. So Spanish cabaret, zarzuelas, or really any tango music, for example, in Argentina, which is a kind of a cabaret form. You have music that's about storytelling, and it's basically short form music, but with a lot of detail and very high musical values. And it's performed in a small theater, a dinner theater or a place where people gather. What's been interesting about the song form, the 3-minute song, is it's sort of in a way, the opposite of a lot of the other writing I do. I think when I write operas and I write classical music and chamber music and whatnot, and when I do that, often you sort of start with an idea and you tend to you add length, you add body to the idea, you fill things out, you elaborate. There's all kinds of processes of elaboration and expansion. This is kind of the opposite. It's sort of the art of taking away. Honing in on that, really the core emotion of the song, and just the core elements of the song, the melody, the emotion, the words, and even in the process of writing the words, it's been interesting to see that every time I'll revisit the song, I'll say, okay, I could take more away. I can strip more out of the words and get more to the heart of the idea. So the CD is definitely Poets Cabaret. One of the songs on the CD is called House of Straw. And it's another song about these deals that we make. And it's kind of a song about, you know, how you get where you want to be and you have a vision and you build your house, you know, you have your little suburban paradise or your urban paradise or whatever it is, you know, and you've got your mid-century modern and blah, blah, blah. And you kind of get there and you might look at it all and say, oh man, this stuff is all kind of, that was a lot of work, and it's a lot of work to keep it, you know. So the House of Straw is a little bit about that. It's about how temporary things are, maybe. So we've been calling the band also Jack Perla's House of Straw. Yeah, technology is fascinating. I mean, it's changing it, obviously, enormously. You know, people are making music with people all around the world and slicing pieces of music up and, you know, packing them and, you know, attaching it to an email and sending a mix to Brazil and have. Well, I think on the distribution side, definitely. I think it's letting people make music. I think, yeah, it aids a lot. That's obviously changing music a lot. I think it's also great. I think there's an amazing amount of fantastic music out there, you know, independent music that I've been more aware of in the last few years. So, you know, what I do wonder about is, though, is, you know, this guy, like, you know, just the piano, right? Like the whole tradition of playing, you know, an acoustic instrument. That, I think, is kind of challenged. This project is very acoustic, so it's really focused on acoustic instruments. There's very little technology, you know, and the production will be simple. You know, it's people playing in a room. That's what's important to me, to capture that, you know, that essence of that moment, you know, that idea of the performing moment. That's what I Mighty Erudite is more about just, you know, relationship and, you know, it's a lost love song. And two people kind of going in two different directions, or maybe a relationship has ended. You know, if it's these two people are parting, just relationship, or is actually somebody passed away. And actually, that's been one of the interesting things as far as me writing the lyrics for this project is, the more I got into that, the more I saw the possibilities, or the beauty of really the pop song lyric, in that you can leave things so open. You know, it's a very special kind of a form of poetry. You know, there are these kind of core themes, but they could mean many things depending on who's listening and what they're bringing, you know, what that audience person's bringing to the song. Like if you take Mighty Erudite, you know, there was a really, I think what came first was some chords. You know, I had an idea that I wanted a harmonic progression, a series of chords or something that just were sad. You know, but so I wanted something to match that, and I really feel like harmony can do that. Like just chords, even without melody, you know, can conjure up such, you know, like an emotional space. You know, I just had this progression that I eventually found, you know, that I really liked. It's slightly strange, you know, because it kind of starts bright and major, and it quickly turns minor, and then it goes even more minor. And it's kind of a strange turn that it takes there. and then it kind of, I explain it. It's like, oh, we went there to go there. And that makes sense. And then it's like, whoops. You know? And it kind of ends somber. Capturing that space, it took a while. I will just sit and, I don't know, it might have been, you know, like I might have started. And it's like, nah. You know what I mean? And I'll know, okay, I'll be in the general zone, and then, but not quite. And it's just fishing around for something that feels really elemental, you know, it feels almost like a rock or something really core and simple, but yet feels real and unique and like it has a potential, you know. So then I think after that progression, there was this sort of little melody on the top that suggested itself. Yeah, and then you start getting into it, and you start hearing the details, you know, like all those little things. Tempo, I think, is related to the body, obviously, and I think creates mood, too, you know, or emotional space. You know, you feel this kind of and it's kind of ceaseless, you know. Yeah, my mom passed away last summer. It's had an effect on everything I do. It's just, it has focused me a lot on what's important and what's important to me in my work and in my relationships, my family, my friendships. And, so I think it's helped me simplify, but it's definitely helped me be in the moment more and appreciate, you know, people show up at a rehearsal. Since my mom passed away, people like will have a rehearsal, and I've had this like change where people will show up and we start to play, and I just feel like, man, this is the most wonderful, awesome, fantastic thing just to be doing this right now, you know, with these people, playing this song and having these people, you know, care about my work and bringing their talent and just making this music at this moment. So that's been really, really powerful. The Unknowing is an odd kind of song. It got started, this is going back to the Poets Cabaret idea. So there was a line, there was this William Butler Yeats line that I stumbled across, that, you know how certain lines or melodies just kind of stick with you. Sing on somewhere at some new moon, we'll learn that sleeping is not, it's actually, we'll learn that sleeping is not death in the poetry. I changed it a bit in the song. Hearing the whole earth change its tune. That line just kept kind of haunting me, and eventually there were some images that came out of it. It became a song about, in a way, about two lives that had gone very different. The singer, you know, the speaker in the song is calling the other character out. And he's basically saying, you know, you really have sold out. You know, you kind of made this, you know, Faustian bargain. And look at you now, you've accrued all this power and place in the world, but you're corrupt. That's one of the themes, you know, what are the deals that we have to make? You have to, you know, you have to play, you know, you have to play by some rules. And I think all of us are kind of brushing up against that all the time, you know, you start to make some deals and some compromises. So that's definitely a theme, you know, throughout the recording in different ways. Kind of almost I don't know if it's a tango or what it is, but it's something. It's definitely yeah. It's right. That came from the words, definitely. You know, you'll see a line of poetry, and before you know it, there's just, you know, the poetry will sort of pop a melody into your mind, you know, and it's completely there is no thought involved. It just happens, and it's really nice when it happens. And the more, like anything, and the more you're doing it, the more it happens. But the line is, all the stars and the moon and nights of unknowing. And so that became, you know, all the stars and the moon and nights of unknowing. And, you know, then you just are off and running. Are we filming? Hey, I'm Jack Perla. We are doing a little Kickstarter campaign. I have never done this, so I'm excited and leery all at the same time. But we're going to try to raise some money for a new recording called Poets Cabaret. It's a collection of 12 or so songs, and I do mean songs. They are sort of, well, I'm calling it indie cabaret. They are some kind of a hybrid of cabaret in the grand sense of the term, not in the, you know, Broadway musical sense of the term, but more like music theater or music in a theater, music that tells a story. Maybe dark cabaret, or there are elements of jazz, there are elements of pop music and indie music and alternative music, and in this hybrid form. A lot of the excitement of the project was getting all these songs down to the core ideas and really creating a, you know, full, recording a full-length project out of a very wide range of materials, wide emotional range, and very different kinds of musical stories, so that each one becomes a kind of a, I hope, you know, kind of a cut gem with a very particular identity. So we have a song that sounds like a tango. You know, we have a couple of things that are more, you know, more jazzy. We have some things that are very, very, very simple. You know, one that's kind of a blues. But I think what keeps Poets Cabaret making sense as a project is the attention to the music, to the detail of the music, to the detail of the words, and the fact that all the songs are sung and played by a core group of musicians, of very fine San Francisco Bay Area musicians that have given heart and soul to this project and really brought a lot of talent to it. So I'm excited about it. I wanted to share a couple of songs, just rehearsal video with you. One song is called Mighty Erudite, and it's a song of lost love. And one is called The Unknowing, and that's a creepy song about two guys in a dark alley, something like that. Let me show it to you. Here you go.